Hey guys, just want to welcome you back for another video. And for today's project, I'm making an 8x8 mixed media canvas panel using a bunch of the tiny or smaller embellishments from Dawn at Shiny Silver Treasures Woodland Treasures kit. Now this is a full kit that came out back on July 1st. So what I'm doing here is I am prepping the foam flowers, and I also brought in from my stash some faux pearls, and I'm doing the gesso, the flowers, and the pearls, and I believe those leaves that you see in the upper right, I cut those apart and prepped those with some gesso as well to make sure when I come in with that white paint you see off to the side, it's sort of a thicker white acrylic paint by Liquitex, I think. I use that as the base coat to cover everything once I get it all attached to the canvas. But the process that I took is, once I was done prepping everything, I used the stencil with some texture paste to start building up the background to get rid of the sharp or the lines on the edges of the stencil. I went ahead and rubbed them in so that way it looks like the texture paste is part of that canvas panel. Then when that was dry, then I started attaching all the embellishments that I was using with a combination of gel medium and or hot glue and gel medium, depending on what it was. And I also brought in a piece of, it's supposed to look like lace, but it's just like a little lacy doily that I had picked up from the Dollar Tree. It is actually fabric, but I don't think it's actual lace. I didn't want to use the strip of black lace that was in the kit because I have an idea of one or two projects I want to use it with. I just haven't decided which one I'm going to do. But in any case, I did that with the pearls, and then I brought in, like, it's technically, I think, one of their white Christmas flowers that they put out every year. So once I kind of get an idea for how I want the composition to look, when I got everything attached and it was secure, I think the only thing that really was a pain in the butt was trying to get the pearls to stick. But once everything was attached and secure, I came in with that white paint, built up the base color, and gave myself an even color palette to start with. In any case, once everything was set and good to go, then what I did is brought in, I believe I only used 3 ink spray colors, and I also, for contrast, I used one of the Tim Holtz Distress Spritz. It's like a hint of that color, but it also has the mica powder in there to get that shimmer. I guess it's pretty much like a shimmer spray now that I'm thinking about it, but I used iced spruce as the base blue-ish color, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the other colors I brought in, but blue. We'll go with that. So once I got the layers down and I got the colors blended to the way that I liked it, when they were dry, then I came back in with the spritz spray. I want to say it was fossilized amber. It was a little bit darker yellow tone, but what I really liked is it had that goldish mica powder in there. That's what I wanted. So I gave it just a little bit of contrast, but I didn't want too much color to offset the blue. So that's where I thought the spritz would be really good to give a highlight, but not too much. And then once all the ink sprays were done, I came in with a black Stabilo watercolor pencil to do some shading, to bring some shading to give depth to the inside of the flower. I started to use the pencil, but it wasn't quite deep enough for what I was looking for. So I watered down some black gesso, which is a great medium to use either as building a base layer or like as a black paint. Just saying, if you've never thought of using it like that, I definitely recommend it. It's really good also for splatters if you thin it with some water. So anyway, like I said, for the middle of the flower, when I get it on there, I brought in a little bit of watered down black gesso to create some depth. And then I brought in two final things to finish. First, I'm trying to use up this little bottle of glitter glue. It's the opalescent Stiggles thing that I had, and it's still usable, but it's gotten kind of too thick to squirt out through the tip. So I had to come in with my paintbrush and scoop it out and kind of paint it on the inside of the flowers, not flies, sorry. And then I think I used it in a few other areas to add a little bit of extra shimmer. And then the very final thing that I did was I used some of the clear gemstones from the kit that Dawn had added. It's just this little container, but it has a ton of the little clear gemstones in there. So I liked giving the project kind of look like raindrops on it is what I was thinking of. So that's what today's project is. Off camera, I will go back in and add a hanging element to it, but I really had a lot of fun because you can see the little bits that I brought in from the buttons that she included, what I had left of the frames, the little like gemstones, and I think I had some of the stars and hearts or circles, and whatever it was I had left is what I brought in for the project. So it's like a mini kind of a stash bust, but also a fun way to use up the physical embellishments in Dawn's kit. You know, like the foam flowers, the leaves, stuff like that. I do apologize. English is hard at the moment. So, yeah, it's been hilarious. So I will leave it there, and I will do what I normally do. I will put the rest to music, like I said. There are pictures at the end to get a closer look at what I put together. And then, as always, you guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you're crafting along. And take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. If you're interested in some more content, here's a couple videos you might want to check out, and I will catch up with you in the next one.